That's a good example of why local elections matter. And speaking of that, there is one coming up in 89 days. And if you haven't already, it's a good reminder to register to vote. You likely hear that a lot, a reminder to register, right? But how often are you given the option to unregister? Well, it's happening in Georgia. Voters in the Peach State can cancel their voter registration online. All they need is some personal identifying information like a driver's license or a social security number, and they can be removed from the rolls. They can remove themselves from the rolls. State of Georgia says it will help lead to fewer clerical errors. But what about all this election integrity we've been hearing about and the threat of someone else canceling your registration? Is that a possibility in the Gem State? Purging voter rolls already happens in Idaho, but not by random people. Joe Paris addresses some of your concerns with Idaho's Secretary of State.
An email into the 208 inbox. Title, Voter Registration Being Purged. Seems like a big deal, the viewer tells us, leaving a link to a populated post from Reddit on voter registration. The conversation dives into a variety of topics related to voters being removed from Idaho rolls. The original poster talks about having their voter registration revoked, going on to say that an election official told her 57,000 people from across the state have been purged as of July 1st of this year.
I just want to reassure Idahoans that we have a lot of steps in place between our office and the county clerk's offices to manage the voter registration process.
Secretary of State Phil McGrane runs Idaho's elections. He says that, yes, voters are removed from voter rolls here in Idaho, but it's not political or personal. It's just part of the law.
On a monthly basis, we're going through and removing people who are deceased, removing felons through the Department of Corrections. We are in regular contact with the Department of Transportation to validate voter information. And then every election cycle, after the general election, we go through and we remove any inactive voters. Anyone who hasn't voted in the last 4 years, we remove as really just a safeguard.
One commenter posted a Secretary of State's link to a story saying that they removed 74,000 voters from the rolls in 2023. And that link is legit, and it simply explains how Idaho handles the topic.
All of these things, whether it's us cleaning up for felons or deceased people or doing the every 4-year cleanup, all of these are in the law. We're just making sure that we execute the law as it's written. And really, it's been thoughtfully planned out to make sure that we are maintaining and kind of gardening the voter rolls to make sure that they are as current as possible.
Another comment provides a solution for people who claim they had their registration removed, fairly or unfairly. This person says that they work for Ada County elections, and they suggest same-day registration.
So if for some reason you don't go check your registration, you don't get it updated, and it's not current when you get to your polls, in Idaho, you can still register to vote. You'll need to provide proof of ID and proof of residence when you do register at the polls, but you can do it that same day and vote, and that's something that we're really fortunate to have.
And there is conversation online about the new tool in Georgia. There are some folks that are just not familiar with the political atmosphere. But Brian, as we've talked about at length here on the 208, voting laws, registration laws, all that, it does vary from state to state. So just because you're seeing something happen in the state of Georgia doesn't mean it's even an option here in the state of Idaho. Again, the advice, no matter what your registration status is right now, go online, voteidaho.gov. You can go take a look at your current registration. And if worst case scenario, Brian, again, you can register at the polls in Idaho. So they're on election day. So there's no excuse of saying, well, I can't vote.
The purge is good. We need accurate data. We need to know how many people are registered out there, but you can always register at the polls, as you said. Thanks, Joe.